Just how much does it take to educate a child from grade 1 all the way up to university? Is a question the Cabinet Secretary for Education was unable to field, coming from members of Parliament who will be telling you what transpired in that session between the National Assembly and the CS for Education, Migos Ogamba. Also tonight, we'll be hosting the Principal Secretary in the State Department for Medical Services. What is our focus really is about the state of healthcare in the Republic. We'll talk about SHA and the Kenya-US health deal and what it means for you. But first things first, tonight's highlights.
I will be, in a short while, approaching the court to help me understand of a policy document called a manifesto. Where does that manifesto stand when the implementation of that manifesto is challenged?
President William Ruto accuses courts of derailing the implementation of a UDA manifesto.
We actually, as a country, do not know how much it costs to educate a child from grade 1 all the way to university.
Education chiefs under fire for failure to determine the cost of educating a child from grade 1 to university. Over 1,000 hospitals closed for shock fraud. And Kenya's debt hit 11.8 trillion shillings as of June 2025. Welcome to this broadcast. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Anne Wangeshi, and my name is John Jacob Kioria. To start off with the big news tonight is President William Ruto has challenged the Judiciary to define the place of manifestos voted in by Kenyans during the general election. The president says legal hurdles have hindered the implementation of key promises made to Kenyans. The head of state spoke while presiding over the swearing-in ceremony of the newly appointed Court of Appeal judges at State House in Nairobi.
A day after the appointment, the 15 new Court of Appeal judges on Wednesday took oath of office.
I, Joseph Kipkemboy Katwa, a judge of the Court of Appeal.
The president using the occasion to challenge the court over orders stopping the government projects, yet they are contained in the manifesto voted in by Kenyans.
I will be, in a short while, approaching the court to help me understand the place of a policy document called a manifesto. Where does that manifesto stand when the implementation of that manifesto is challenged, sometimes on account of public participation?
The head of state, however, vowed that his administration will not disregard the decision of the court.
It is the nature of democracy that we will not always agree with every decision of the courts. And notwithstanding these differences of opinion, this administration has consistently respected court decisions.
President Ruto also said the government will facilitate the recruitment of more judges to ease the backlog of cases.
The sworn judges of the Court of Appeal have been urged to serve with diligence and commitment and ensure justice is served to all Kenyans without fear or favor. Giverson Minor, Prime Edition, State House, Nairobi.
The Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Migos Ogamba says the Ministry of Education is yet to conduct an actuarial analysis to determine the actual amount needed to educate a child from grade 1 to university. The CS was responding to concerns by legislators on the high cost of education. And speaking to those legislators at a legislators' retreat in Naivasha, Dr. Ogamba, however, said the government has capped school fees to tame illegal increases.
The second day of the legislative retreat began with a heated debate over the quality of education and the complexities involved in the implementation of the competency-based education. Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Ogamba was hard-pressed to explain why it is becoming expensive to educate Kenyan children.
What makes a child of grade 7 require so much more than one of grade 6, yet they are actually in the same institution?
We actually, as a country, do not know how much it costs to educate a child from grade 1 all the way to university.
The MPs demanded that the government announce the exact fees payable in the clusters.
Kuta hii ni 20,000, hii ni 30, hii ni 40, some schools are even 80,000. So we don't know, when you say the fees has not changed, according to you, what is the fees?
What is payable by parents is boarding fee. And the boarding fee in the C1 schools is 53,535 per year. In the rest of the boarding schools, it is 40,435.
Ogamba defended the Minister of Education, citing underfunding as a major stumbling block to the effective running of basic education.
What you allocated and what Treasury allocated for primary is 7 billion instead of 9. For junior is 28 billion instead of 49. And for senior school is 51 billion instead of 76.
The lawmakers decried the introduction of illegal levies in schools, accusing head teachers and county education officers of colluding to burden parents.
Mzazi amelipa karo yote ya shule, lakini mwalimu mkuu na wale wanaohusika pale shule wanafukuza watoto kila uchao, warudi nyumbani hawasomi. Unatarajia vipi hawa watoto wapite mitihani yao?
And our suggestion is that we criminalize failure by the officers to enforce the policies and regulations of the ministry.
The lawmakers are demanding better management of the education sector, including the shake-up of the education ministry.
You have the most clueless PS in the Ministry of Education. Most clueless. He only sits in Nairobi and has no idea what goes on the ground.
Despite the mounting pressure, the ministry insists that the admission of grade 10 learners is well on course, with 96% of learners having already joined senior school. For Prime Edition, I am Edward Kabasa.
To yet another unfolding story, the Ministry of Health has closed 1,118 healthcare facilities across the country that have defrauded public funds through the Social Health Authority SHA system. This is according to Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale, who briefed members of Parliament at the 2026 legislative retreat in Naivasha, Nakuru County. His remarks come after it emerged that 11 billion shillings were siphoned through the SHA systems between October 2024 and April 2025 through the claims and procedural surgeries, ghost patients and collusion.
At the 2026 legislative retreat in Naivasha, Nakuru County, Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale said that despite strides in streamlining the Social Health Authority, some rogue facilities were still committing fraud.
We have so far closed 1,118, and we are keeping on closing more. Because some of them, they call themselves level 4, they're in a very bitchy place.
Duale, however, said that notable gains have been made in the war against corruption.
Two of the former CEO of SHA are before court. A number of staff of SHA are before court. A number of owners of facilities are before court. 25 doctors, SHA has withdrawn their rights.
The Health Cabinet Secretary also raised concerns over fraud by a section of facilities, claiming more for deliveries through the cesarean section.
Because C-section is complicated for us. It's a surgery, it's a theater. It's 30,000 reimbursement, but normal delivery is 10. And because of greed, it's a social problem. Somebody wants to force a mother to a C-section when she can do normal delivery.
And the ministry should be able to crack down to ensure that any CS can be accounted for. What was the need for that cesarean section?
On SHA enrollment, he said 29 million Kenyans had been onboarded, over 130 billion shillings collected, and 93.3 billion shillings disbursed to healthcare facilities for services offered. Duale said that since the introduction of the Lipa SHA Pole Pole in 2025, 412,011 active members have been enrolled, with 1.4 billion shillings having been contributed.
It's no longer an issue of, SHA is not working generally. It's not a communal issue anymore. About 6 months ago, you couldn't talk about SHA in public. Nowadays, any person that approaches you says, SHA paid this amount of money. I wish it paid this. So clearly SHA is working.
Nancy Okware, Prime Edition.
In the corridors of justice, the High Court has dismissed a petition by victims of the 1998 U.S. Embassy bombing in Nairobi, seeking compensation from government, or rather from the government of Kenya, for lacking merit. The 201 petitioners were seeking 5 million shillings each for survivors and 10 million shillings for each family of the deceased, as Letua Deborah reports.
For over 2 decades, survivors and bereaved families of the August 7, 1998 bomb blast in Nairobi have been seeking justice. In April 2021, 201 victims filed a petition seeking monetary compensation. But on Wednesday, January 28, 2026, Justice Lawrence Mugambi ruled that the petition lacked merit.
The evidence relied upon by the petitioners as proof of the fact turns out to be years statements in reports and publications. The sources of facts that made the authors come to the conclusions contained in the reports cannot be verified, as not even the authors of those reports swore affidavits to authenticate the reports and publications relied upon by the petitioners. On a balance of probabilities, I would not regard this as credible evidence to be used as a basis of finding liability.
The petitioners, through their lawyer, had argued that the government had prior knowledge of the terror attack and failed in its constitutional duty to protect citizens. In his verdict, Justice Mugambi said there was no evidence of negligence on the part of the Kenyan government and noted that the perpetrators had already been tried and convicted in the United States. Respondents represented by the Government Council argued that the Kenyan authority acted within the law and could not be held liable for the action of the foreign terrorist. The government maintained that any compensation claims should be directed towards the perpetrators who had been prosecuted abroad. Dissatisfied with the ruling, the victims' lawyers say their pursuit of justice continue in the Court of Appeal.
We are disappointed by that decision of the court, and in a few days we will be moving to the Court of Appeal because we feel that we provided sufficient evidence that the court would have relied on.
Justice Mugambi has relied just only on the respondents' replies, but he didn't have time to look into the files, what we filed.
Victims of the 1998 U.S. Embassy bombing have lost their bid for compensation. The High Court ruled that the case lacked merit, but its survivors say it's not just that U.S. staff were paid, but Kenyan victims were left out. Reporting from Milimani Lokot, Samletua, Deborah.
Governor Cecily Mbarire and other officials in her executive have been surcharged after illegally withdrawing 10 million shillings from the county aggregation and industrial parks. The money is said to have been used to host border operators in a political gathering. Appearing before the County Public Accounts Committee on Wednesday, the governor was at pains to explain the withdrawal, which the Auditor General had flagged as an illegality, placing the county in a precarious position.
Governor Embu County.
In a shocking revelation made by the Auditor General in the financial year of 2024-2025.
Just 2 days ago, we had a similar case where they raided the deposits account to finance a housewarming for the Speaker's residence. So, I mean, it's just same thing, maybe different flavors.
Embu County Governor Cecily Mbarire and other officials in our executive have been surcharged after illegally withdrawing 10 million shillings from the county aggregation and industrial parks account to host a border event.
That you raided the KIPES account to finance a border function. How can it be the way the chair has put it, that you can raid that account to finance Mandazi?
Chair, around the month of June, we had what we were calling a Buddha Summit, where we were launching the Buddha Circle. And he came and told me, we have no money. Yeah, I don't like lying, because you see, if the money didn't go to my pocket...
You actually don't have a choice.
Then I have no reason.
Are you not under oath?
No, I'm not doing a favor. I'm doing what I should say.
It doesn't make you you're not special. You are under oath, and you have an obligation constitutionally to tell the truth.
This senators termed as giving prominence to a political gathering over improved access to local, regional and international markets for county products.
But somebody who knows this is illegal and they go and do it, and then they come and tell us here stories about honesty, must be the ruling that we give on this, on the illegality and the fact that such borrowings cannot be accepted.
Abdiaziz Hashim for Prime Edition.
In the meantime, Information Communications and the Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary William Kabogo says there's a lot of mistrust by Kenyans. The country has no adequate mechanisms to deal, ring-fence its data. Kabogo, who was speaking in Mombasa at the close of the annual Data Privacy Conference, says the unfounded misconception is slowing down innovations and derailing the digital transformation journey. The CS said to change the mindset, the government is working towards digital accountability within the public sector as part of building trust among Kenyans. Data Protection Commissioner Immaculate Kasait, who was present, said there is need to enhance transparency and responsible use of data to end the many suspicions.
Trust is now the currency of the digital economy. Without trust, innovation slows. Without trust, citizens disengage. Without trust, a digital transformation fails. We are reinforcing accountability within the public sector. Trust begins with leadership. Government must be the highest standard bearer for lawful, ethical, and secure data processing. Compliance is not optional. It is a duty owed to the citizens that we serve.
Building trust is a continuous process. As ODPC, we remain committed to strengthening compliance, enhancing transparency, building capacity, and ensuring that data is used responsibly, ethically, and lawfully. When citizens trust our data, we increase innovation, and also the future becomes more secure and inclusive.
The Kenyan Judiciary has, through the court-annexed mediation, saved the economy 103 billion shillings that would have been spent on the normal court process in the last 10 years. Court-annexed mediation, otherwise known as KAM, is a judiciary-led alternative dispute resolution ADR mechanism launched in 2016 to reduce case backlogs and in a cost-effective way.
Do swear in the name of the Almighty God to diligently serve the people.
The swearing in of the 15 judges of the Court of Appeal is a welcome relief in expediting justice, but even then, that amounts to only 5 more 3-judge benches.
The Court of Appeal has a pending caseload now of over 14,000. So now, thankfully, that we have this additional 15, the benches will be increased, so that you will have at least 12 benches that will be sitting. The Court of Appeal is working very hard and churns out between 70 to 100 judgments every single week.
The Deputy Registrar of the Judiciary, Paul Ndemo Maina, says alternative dispute resolution options such as court-annexed mediation will go a long way in addressing case backlogs. He lauded the cost-effectiveness of court-annexed mediation.
If you look at from 2016 up to now, what has gone back to the economy is 103 billion Kenya shillings. So the matters that have been resolved through mediation, 103 billion.
Speaking on the sidelines of the annual Judiciary Dialogue event, Ndemo also hailed digital transformation that has enhanced efficiency through the nationwide e-filing and virtual courts.
What we have in Mahakama Popote, is an initiative where courts that are in areas that are not as busy are given work from these very busy stations.
The Judicial Dialogue Day, to be marked on Friday, fosters transparency, accountability, and public trust in the justice system. Stakeholders in the judicial system, including the general public, has been urged to attend the Judiciary Dialogue Day so as to better understand the judiciary processes and services. Michael Mondiga reporting for Prime Edition, Supreme Court, Nairobi.
A report by Michael Mwandiga takes us to a very fast breather. Before we do that, let me tell you that we have the Principal Secretary, State Department for Medical Services, Dr. Omar Oluga, and we have a lot to discuss. Don't go too far. We're coming back shortly.
Ni manzi. Manzi ya pasta ama manzi ya nani hapa?
Shemanzi, Asha kanisani.
Wewe ni muamini wa hiyo kanisa? Hapana. Very nice. Hiyo ni ya kwanza. Maka watu walimheshimiwa.
Nimekwambia uulize maswali.
Nikieleza hii mahakama, mimi hiyo pesa nilikuja nikachukua, nikatoa, nikawa kiondoa ilikuwa imejaa. Nikatoa nikaweka kwa mfuko ndio sisimwakike. Nitakuwa naeleza mahakama ulangu.
Sheria ya kanisa pale pakijaa anaruhusiwa kuchukua pesa yote.
Sasa ningewacha simwakike mheshimiwa kusema
ulikuwa unatoa katika mifuko ya tai.
Wewe ni Asha wa hiyo kanisa?
Aje hapana, mimi ni Islam.
Very good. Walk out. Usiniletee Kiislamu hapa. Arda? Yes.
It's nice to see you.
I think maybe our angel is not ready for this world yet. That's why we should keep waiting.
Our guest tonight is Dr. Omar Oluga, the Principal Secretary, the State Department for Medical Services. And thank you very much, sir, for making time out of your busy schedule, really, to be with us tonight.
Right.
You're welcome.
This is part of work, so there's no thanking us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, let's start with the good news because, I mean, it appears like there's some ray of hope, particularly for UHC staff. Because part of what the hue and cry has been about their absorption into permanent and pensionable bases, and now appears like you already have a solution as a ministry with the Council of Governors.
Yeah, so that's part of the problems that we found in the ministry.
Yes.
And I think I have to state that we've really worked hard. I have to thank the Council of Governors for the collaboration. You note that previously, just April when I came in as PS, there was a lot of demonstrations. They had done almost 1 year of strikes. But also I have to thank the Cabinet Secretary because he's been quite receptive. You know, I have a union background, so I know all the issues. In fact, sometimes I say that I know the issues more than the workers themselves. Yeah, and not in a bad way because I have been there, I've been in that space. I know how that space looks like. So when I gave the proposal that this is how we solve it, the CS agreed, and that's how we have managed to work with the Council of Governors. And you've seen first with the approval of His Excellency the President, we put them on salaries on September. And now with the work between the President again and the summit and presented by the CS, we have now found a way of working with the governors to put it in the Division of Revenue Allocation. So I think that all issues of human resource, to be honest, is behind us.
Okay.
And let me say it like this: His Excellency the President William Ruto, is very clear about healthcare. And now in healthcare, he has 4 agenda. You know, people just hear about SHA.
Yeah.
But let me say the 4 key priority things.
Go ahead.
One is the health financing. We will talk about that.
Yeah.
SHA.
Yeah.
The second one is the human resources for health. So when the president came into office, he inaugurated something that was passed in 2017, but has never been given life. It is called the Kenya Health Human Resources Advisory Council. He called them State House. He is the first president to inaugurate it. The second thing that he's done is the issue about community health promoters. 107,000 community health promoters. For the first time, government is paying them. He gave them also kits. Every one of them has a jacket, has a bag. That bag has a blood pressure, blood sugar. That is still human resource. And then the third thing, which is very important, of course, initially we had all of these issues, you know, for the last 2 years. But I believe with now our entry into the ministry, and particularly for me, I have to thank His Excellency because of giving me the opportunity to serve. And sometimes I have to say that, you know, the responsibility also really falls with us, those of us who work in the public service, to put before His Excellency, the President, a solution. And when we did this, he took it and he has now solved all the workers' issues. I understand the CBAs, I understand. So that's the UHC, the doctors, CBRAs, the nurses you have seen. In fact, the other day I was with the president of the National Nurses Association, and more than 20,000 of them want to go to the State House to just say thank you to the president. Like we've never had, we have always had situations where 20,000 nurses want to come to the street to demonstrate. But this is a situation where 20,000 want to, they're asking me, can we just go to say thank you? I'm like, okay, the best way to say thank you is to serve patients so that patients can also feel as nice, you know, and then that is, so HR is a big deal. The third one, which we are really working on, is the availability of commodities, medicines, the availability of equipment in hospitals. So we have there a number of things. We have the equipment program, which the president has talked about a lot. We have the issues around KEMSA. We have the issues there around biovacs to make sure vaccines are there. Again, when we came into office, I think you know that vaccines has always been a problem. For the 15 years I've worked in healthcare, there is no single year that there has been. You can Google, you can check every single year. There has always been a vaccine problem.
And we are planning to begin production this year?
Now, we have solved first of all, we've solved the vaccine problem. As at now, the vaccine is the other day I met with pediatricians, my senior doctors, and you know, they were asking me, what have you done? Because this is the first time that pediatricians have not come to Afya House to hold a meeting with the minister or with the principal secretary to talk about, oh, you know, this thing they call advocacy. You know, this thing they used to call advocacy, which there has been a lot of funding of NGOs in the name of advocacy, where they come, they take a picture with the PS or a minister in the name of advocacy. You know, that thing is gone. Because what are you advocating for? It's done. It's already done. So we solved it. Now, about the manufacturing, we have done... we've laid the ground. Remember 2 weeks ago, myself and my minister, Duale, we were in the Kenya Biovacs, Embakasi. Now, we have worked to get funding from the World Bank, and we've gotten 120 million US dollars. That is 12 billion. To set up a manufacturing for vaccines. For the first time, Kenya is going to produce its own vaccines. We spend around 11 billion buying vaccines. So that money is now going to be here, and we are going to save half of it. Because when we set our own factory, it means we don't have to import vaccines, which we spend a lot of money. Now, that's the money given to us by Gavi. Now, all that money, we are going to save it, and then now do something else. Now, we want to produce the first vial of vaccines in 2027. So right now, we have laid the foundation. They have done the water. They have done the building. They have done the warehouse. Now, this year, we are going to now do the factory. To start doing the factory. Doing the factory will take around 16 months. so that by 16 months, so that by June of 2027, we will do what is called the test vial. And then by April of 2028, we will now do what we call the vaccine production. And that's, we are quite clear that. Then the last bit is about digitization, to make sure that the healthcare system is connected, it's unified. The information you see is the information I see. Right now, by the way, even anyone watching me out there, you just go to www.afyayangu.com. You register yourself. You can even see your SHA balances. You can see how last you paid. If you have a smartphone, you can go on the app. It is an application. You go on Google Store. You download it. You go on iStore. If you're an iPhone person, you download it. Like what you see is what I see. So we don't even have to struggle. You just put your name, your ID number, your phone number. Kila kitu nywe, hiyo inaitwa digitization. What the hospital sees is what SHA sees, is what the patient sees. I've just been talking to somebody right now, a civil servant who is in hospital, and was telling me that actually as I was walking in, that they're in hospital, but SHA, it's taking 5 hours for SHA to approve, that it is taking too long. I just called, his ID was entered. The hospital is lying to him that they have sent the notification. The notification has not yet been sent. You understand? Yeah. So right now, and this is where we are going. By the way, it's going to be easy. And you don't have to call me. You can call 147. We have a call center. We receive 3,000 calls every day. And they just ask you, hey, where are you? The last time I was in the call center, randomly, somebody called from a hospital in Kisii. You just enter, what's your name? Or you said, okay, what's your name? I enter there, you find you're 17 years, does not have an ID. Do you have a birth certificate? Okay, you don't have a birth certificate. Who is the nearest person? Who is your guardian? We can check and we can tell the hospital, here is a true problem. This one we may not be able to solve here. Now we have to do what we call identification. This one we can solve.
Please
so anyway,
because
a lot of things.
It's a very rosy picture that you paint around SHA. But where is the disconnect, particularly between public perception, public complaints, and the rosy picture of the Ministry of Health that says this system is working? Where is the disconnect?
The disconnect is in education of both the hospitals and the people. And I want to give you a very clear, you know me, I like giving very practical examples. You know, I deal with very practical examples. This morning, this morning, a friend of mine texted me. There's a patient in MPSHA. MPSHA is here in Nairobi. Okay, so MPSHA did a bill to a patient. The bill is quite a lot, around 2 million. And then, you know, the guy was sending me, hey, PS, there seems to be a problem because MPSHA has said SHA is only going to pay 40,000. This is a real case. I'm reading it on my phone here. I can give you to read it for your viewers. Then I said, hey, so sorry, there must be a problem. So I said, send me the bill. So I sent SHA the bill. Then MPSHA broke down. You know, one of the things, and this is a true story, they said 8 nights of the HDU. HDU means high dependency unit. It's the next one before ICU. Okay? Which SHA is paying 28,000. MPSHA had not billed SHA. They wanted the patient to pay. You understand? They did a procedure which is opening of the chest. It's called thoracotomy, where you if you are doing the a surgery, you have to open the chest and then do the procedure. The thorax, I think all of us understand thorax. So when you open it, it's called thoracotomy. Now that thoracotomy, SHA is paying 201,600 shillings. This is here. It is real story. Okay. Now MPSHA had not billed this. That is 400,000. So 8 nights by 28,000 is 224,000. Then you add the surgery, 200,000. That SHA is paying for. You understand? That MP Shah did not bill.
No bill Shah.
So I sent this to Shah. Then they just told me the hospital here, the hospital has not billed us the following, which they have signed a contract to bill. So you understand? So there is, and that is why I'm here. That is why I'm here, John.
Yes.
And this is where we have to plug the gap. Because the Shah story is not a rosy story. It is a true story. Okay? This is a true story.
Okay.
Now, then I got to the hospital. The hospital got back to me. You know what they told me? And I'll read it verbatim.
Yes.
Good morning, Daktari. The billing team is ready for the additional applications, awaiting the family the necessary documentation. I will update you. Now, the case is solved. Now, this is 90% of the problems we are having. And either it is happening deliberately by some hospitals because, and you know, they do this, then later on sometimes they bill Shah, but you have already paid them. So that is what we call fraud. Or they do this unknowingly because they have not taken time to read what Shah pays for. There is something that you can Google, even at home when you are watching me. Just go on the internet and do something called Shah benefit package. Even you can do it there. You can just Google it there and show it on the screen for our viewers.
Yes.
Now that Shah benefit package, okay, it has a list of all the services that Shah is paying for. Okay? Now this is what hospitals need to read. You know the old story of you just treat people and then you send a bill to NHIF is gone. We have a new system where if you do this surgery, you can't say you did surgery. You have to say the surgery you did.
Okay.
And you must take those surgical notes. We call them theater notes. You must put them there. We must know who is the surgeon that did. And you know when that has been done, the surgeon must be registered. The medicines that you used must be registered. So we are recording everything on the digital system. So there is no room. That is why you find some funny hospitals, either they don't know or there is some ukora. Either way, we are correcting it using information. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you for inviting me because these practical cases show wananchi that the problem is information. And sometimes the problem is transparency.
And as you talk about transparency piece, because this is very interesting, and particularly some of the hospitals that you mentioned, because I would not want to imagine that the management of such a hospital would not have gone through this package. In instances where it appears like it's near sabotage of Shah, taking as a ministry, so that members of the public do not suffer out of the ignorance of a facility.
Yes, so out of the ignorance of a facility, we have instituted something that we are calling Shah clinics. Shah clinics, we are now doing regular training. We have already trained out of 200,000 healthcare workers. Okay? Those are people who treat you in hospital. All the workers, the way we have 400,000 teachers, we have thousands of police, we have 200,000 across all hospitals, whether it is private or public. The hospitals that have contracts with Shah, they are 10,000. Now, these hospitals that have contract with Shah, we have now trained 55,000 workers. Okay? We still have 150,000 to go. Okay? And once we train you, we don't want to hear a problem.
Yes.
So that problem is slowly coming to an end. But we also have something called Shah clinics. The Shah clinics, we go to a particular county or a particular facility, like the other day we were in Tenwek, because Tenwek had some few challenges. And I usually like to be extremely truthful. That's why I mention even the name of the hospital. Because I know, like for example, today the medical director of MPSHA knows I spoke with him. So it is on record, And of course, we are not saying this in bad faith. So we go to Tenwek, we said, okay, what is your problem? Your problem is this. We sit down. We sit down with the finance team. We sit down with the medical team. We sit down even with the doctor to ask the doctor, what is the challenge that you've been complaining about? Let's go one by one. When we live there, no problem. We know that this may take time for the entire country, but you know, the system is so simple. And the number 147, if you call it, you will be taken through everything I'm saying. You will even be taken through those clinics. So we are just appealing to members of the public. We are appealing to our hospitals. Let us adhere and implement the President's universal healthcare agenda. This is something that is so personal. Like now, this, my friend, the civil servant, yeah? He works in Parliament, by the way. And it's just that because he has my number. There are many Kenyans who don't have my number.
Sure.
So we must have a way of making sure that our system is working and it is simple, with or without knowing somebody. Okay? Now he has waited for 5 hours for his surgery to be approved, yet the hospital tells him that no, we are waiting. Yet the hospital has not notified the Social Health Authority. You understand?
Yeah.
So those are cases which it looks like we need to bring a bit more humanity into the healthcare system, so that we just take time. We know that me as a hospital reading this social health benefit package, translating it, making sure that my systems in the hospital are aligned. Every hospital, we are now encouraging them to have a few clerks who are specifically trained on the SHA benefit package. So that when somebody comes, they just enter your ID. When the doctor writes something, they can know, for you, this is the service that SHA is paying for, so that they align the way they write their notes, they align the way they treat you with what SHA has said. We have had a bit of resistance. The resistance, you know, in Kenya, when something comes new, there's a lot of, oh, you know, it's not working. The other day we were in Bomet, and there was a story, in fact it is online, so again this is a story of online, where a young man was saying, SHA is not working, SHA is not working. So we called him. You can, that video, I think you will have it so that you can play it. We called him, oh, okay, we want to help you. Bring your ID. Entering his ID, he's not a member, he's not registered. Okay? That is why we are also encouraging more Kenyans to register.
Okay.
And by the way, that's another good story. So far, 29 million.
29 million Kenyans
29 million.
already enrolled.
When I became PS, it was just 11. So I can say that my performance, within 8 months, I have gotten 18 million Kenyans. That is not just a vote of confidence. That is credibility in the system. And the system continues to mature and to be better. When IFMIS started, IFMIS is the system that we use to make our budgets and administer budgets. I know KBC uses IFMIS. When IFMIS started in 2013, there was a lot of noise. Okay? But within 1 year, 2 years, everyone nowadays uses IFMIS. No one complains. Even businessmen use IFMIS. Okay? When eCitizen started in 2016, a lot of noise. But by 2018, 2019, everyone uses eCitizen. In fact, it is so convenient, you just renew your driving license. 1 year down the line after SHA, 1st of October 2024 to now, just 1 year and a few months. Within a few months, as we continue to explain and to make the system better, there will be no. It will be so simple. You just go Afya Yangu, you see what the doctor is doing, you see your money, you see your disease, you see your medicines. All
right, PS, I have just like about a minute, and I need you to deal with the question of the Kenya-US health deal, and particularly the constitutional issues raised regarding safety, particularly patient data and public participation. Does that deal, do you still intend to continue with that deal, and how do you address those challenges?
We are very grateful to our long-standing friends, the partners, the U.S. government. The U.S. government is the largest bilateral. Bilateral means government to government. Then partner that we have in Kenya. They are responsible for a lot of our partnerships, and not just in health, in security, in agriculture. Most of some of the big things that we do is the U.S. government. And that friendship started long time ago. USAID has been here, has been giving a lot of money to NGOs. And I want to demystify that. The money that we are getting from the US government, which we now have put in this framework, is the same money that was going to NGOs. Okay? What we are doing is just to make sure that there's continuity. Remember, USID was scrapped off and it stopped working through the stop work order. But the US government has been assisting us to run our healthcare system, to buy medicines for ARVs, for malaria, to do surveillance. And so we cannot stop it because there are patients that are on medication as we speak. All the malaria medicine that we are giving right now was bought by the US government. Okay? So when you tell us to stop it, what am I stopping? Am I stopping giving somebody medicine?
You can't stop.
So it is not even humane. It's not even possible. And so what we are doing is that we are explaining to the court, we respect our courts, we respect our civil society, we respect Okia Omtata, but let him know that the patients in Busia have gone to his office because they are now worried that why does Okia Omtata want to stop our treatment? Now, Dr. Luga has told the patients that don't worry, don't demonstrate against Okia Omtata. We have assuring you that your medicines will be here. We are going to court because we are also interested in strengthening our systems. Today we were with the US government. You saw our cabinet secretary with the acting ambassador. We have been trying to prepare to implement, because to implement means that you have to put a roadmap. So when the court will tell us now implement, which we know they will tell us, because the health workers have also told us. In fact, the health workers are telling us, why are you even with the court? We negotiated to employ 13,000 health workers. 13,000. People don't have jobs. Hospitals lack nurses. We want to employ people. And then somebody says, stop. What are we stopping? Are we stopping treating people? Now, the questions around data, the questions around privacy have also been executed. The agreement says that we will use the Kenyan law. The Kenyan law are three. Number one, there is the Constitution, Article 35. Number two, there is the Data Protection Act, which says every data must be controlled. And we have appointed the CECs as the controllers of the data. Number three is the Digital Health Act. The Digital Health Act talks about two things. Number one, confidentiality of your privacy. So if we are treating you for something, we will never say Oluga is suffering from this disease. But if Oluga and John and somebody, they are all suffering from that disease, we can say that 20 Kenyans are suffering from this disease. You understand? Now, that is what we call aggregate data. Okay? So now, digital health says confidentiality, privacy. We are not going to disclose anyone's private information. But number two is that where data needs to be disclosed, because healthcare is not about protecting data. It's about using data. So if there is a disease outbreak in Kibera, like we had a disease, we had a cholera outbreak. Now, because of the digitization, I can identify a disease outbreak, because that day we saw in Mutwini, there's a hospital called Mutwini in Dagoretti, you know it. We identified 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All of them have come with diarrhea. Okay? So in my system, which I have here on the dashboard, I can see the spike. When I see the spike, it alerts me. When it alerts me, I start to see, oh, these 30 people have all come with diarrhea, and they all come from this place, slum called Kawangware. So I immediately send a team there. They go check the water. They find, oh, we are having cholera. So I can respond fast so that cholera does not spread. You know, just the previous year, in 2022, 2023, do you know how many people died in Nairobi of cholera? 39. Okay? Do you know how many people have died this year of cholera and last year? 0. You know why? Because of digitization. You know why? Because of sharing data. Okay?
That is quite interesting. And but very quickly, again, because I see there's some grace for us in terms of time. We're dealing with this temporary suspension, and dealing with this deal in itself. What are the exact expect from this deal in less than a minute, very quickly?
In less than a minute, 3 things. One is that we want to use this to build hospitals to give services better. So we are calling those strategic interventions, okay? So we want to put diagnostics, laboratory systems. That is where we are going to put a lot of money to make sure that diseases can be diagnosed early, because many Kenyans take almost 5 months to get to know the disease that they have. They go to this dispensary, the doctor is not sure, the x-ray is not working, all of that. Diagnostics. Number 2, which is very important, we want to use this to strengthen resource mobilization so that we are sustainable, so that even when the US walks away later, SHA is working, everyone has money. Our Kenyans who are extremely poor, we will pay for some of them, the Social Health Authority. Some of them who are having money, they have workshops, they have hardware, they are selling mandazi, but they are hiding, they are not contributing. We will follow them and make sure they are contributing so that we do something called revenue measures. We get more money so we can pay for more people. The last one, which is very, very important, is that we want to make sure that there is medicines all over. That is why KEMSA is key for us. So we are going to put in a lot of money to make sure HIV medicines, TB medicines, commodities for malaria. In fact, we are starting, next week, we are spraying malaria, okay? Because malaria is still killing 12,000 Kenyans. 12,000 Kenyans, malaria. 12,000 Kenyans dying every year. Why? Mosquitoes. So we are going to do spraying of mosquitoes, buying malaria medicines, making sure that the things that are not there are there.
With this deal, a patient's data is safe.
This is the best thing that Kenya has ever had. I have said before, Our Excellency is the one that negotiated. He went, he met with the Secretary of State earlier, by the way, in Unga, September, not this one of December when we were signing. Now then, when the President has done that, he gives orders to workers like myself, the PS, and he says, Dr. Luga, I want this thing done. Now, Dr. Luga is also a professional. Dr. Luga is also a world-class negotiator. So beyond the political leadership, I can also be held responsible. I am challenging anyone in the world to read and tell me this part is wrong. And by the way, Kenya is the only country that the deal is public. The only one. The US has signed 15 of them. The only one that the deal is public is Kenya. So you can read sentence by sentence. Then you can judge whether this Dr. Luga is a true professional that he claims to be or not. Okay?
All right. Dr. Uma Luga is the Principal Secretary, State Department for Medical Services. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Can we
Thank
host you sooner?
Any day. Okay. I've told you that is why we're here. Okay. And this is work to make sure Kenyans understand, to make sure we work together. We are not perfect. We are not there. But the road is clear. The journey is long. We are halfway.
All right. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us tonight. Dr. Uma Luga, we wish you the very best as you dispense your duties. This is where we interview. We'll be back with business and sports.
Greetings in the name of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice, we
have to do it twice.
Wiki hii kwenye Mkulima, tunaangazia ufugaji wa nzi wa BSF.
Tunajifunza mbinu nafuu ya uzalishaji wa chakula cha mfugo.
Hii ndio tunaita black soldier fly larvae.
Aha.
Huyu ndio mdudu ambaye ndio chakula ya kuku. Na naweza kueleza sio chakula tu wa kuku wa mifugo ama kitu kingine. Pia wanadamu pia.
Wow.
Ni chakula yetu. Hivi karibuni tutakuwa tunaitisha chapati BSF. Ama ugali BSF.
Wow.
Inakuja kutackle climate change.
Ungana nasi Jumamosi saa 10:30 hapa KBC Channel 1.
Kwa mseto kamili wa kilimo.
Welcome back. You are watching Prime Edition. Very quickly, tonight on cinemas and theatre, we focus on the film Kipkemboy, which tells the story of a teenage Kenyan mathematics genius who who develops an algorithm capable of shaking global financial markets. Forced to abandon his dreams after his father's death, Kipkemboy turns to mathematics and technology to support his family in a setting turn of events that draws international attention but puts the life in danger. Take a look.
The film Kipkemboy follows the story of a teenage maths prodigy whose life takes a dramatic turn after the death of his father forces him to abandon a scholarship opportunity to a leading engineering university in the US in order to support his family.
Let me guess, the rich get richer.
His fortunes change when his girlfriend Chipchirchir gifts him a second-hand book from a local market, Quants, How Mathematicians Took Over Wall Street, which inspires him to develop an algorithm capable of predicting stock market patterns. Drawing from his upbringing on a rural farm where he observes how wind, water and weather affects animals and crops, Kipkemboy applies these natural patterns to financial markets. Working from a mud hut using a makeshift computer powered by a car battery, his algorithm generates massive profits, sending shockwaves through global financial systems. The unexpected flow of wealth into the small town of Metipso attracts the attention of international financiers, local authorities and village elders. Tensions escalate when the groups converge at Kipkemboy's home, forcing him and Chipchirchir to flee across the Kenyan countryside. But how far are the international financiers willing to go to silence his story? The film Kipkemboy is written by Joel Richardson and produced by Canadian filmmakers Jennifer Jonas and Leonard Fallinger in collaboration with the late Api Matere from Kenya's Zamaradi production.
Kipkemboy was written by Joel Richardson, who's lived in Metipso village. Metipso is in Eldama Ravine. In Kenya. So him having lived there in the village, having lived that life, he always wanted to tell this story of this African child who actually goes ahead and makes it. So he wrote the script, then partnered with Canadian friends, Kina Leonard and Jen, and they also got funding, I think, from the Canadian government, and they partnered with the local production house called Zamaradi, and just kept, with everyone's idea, kept becoming bigger and bigger and bigger until Kipkemboy is what it is, having won so many awards as well. Just shows how great it is.
The film features a mix of Canadian and African actors including David Cubitt, Kevin Hunchard, Vanessa, Abel Mutua, Chichisei and Tamela Mpumwana. To enhance authenticity, the production team revealed that Canadian actors underwent Swahili language coaching.
And because it's a Kenyan story, and they're the lead actors playing Kenyan characters, which meant that for them to play Kenyan characters, they have to speak Swahili like Kenyans do. And this is street Swahili. I call it street Swahili and not textbook. So the whole aspect of dialogue coaching or speech trainer or dialogue trainer is to get those actors to learn Swahili, not just Swahili as a language, but Swahili on the street, up to and including how we speak English as Kenyans.
The film also showcases Kenya's scenic beauty, with key scenes shot in Eldama Ravine after the director opted to relocate filming from South Africa, impressed by the area's landscapes.
The producers initially were going to shoot Kipkemboy in South Africa, a Kenyan story in South Africa. Why? Because in South Africa, Canada and South Africa have what is called a film treaty. And they were going to shoot this film in South Africa called Kipkemboy. A Kenyan story was going to be shot in South Africa. Truth. What won them over is that when they, one of the producers called, and the writer as well, Joel Richardson, and he told the Canadians, come over to Kenya, have a look at this beautiful place. So they came. And it was sold just by their sight. This country is more beautiful than we think it is.
Even you.
Jacqueline Masharia for Cinemas and Theatre.
Time for us to do business now. In Kenya's debt hit 11.8 trillion shillings as at June 2025, with domestic debt ballooning to 6.3 trillion shillings and 5.5 trillion shillings borrowed externally. The Director General of Public Debt Management, Rafael Otieno, says the government is seeking credit at lower interest rates to force lenders to lower interest rates and increase private lending. Here's Regina Manyara with a report.
Debt service continued to consume a large share of ordinary revenue during the financial year 2024-2025, reaching 1.7 trillion shillings.
We've been complaining that our debt has been growing, but no one is talking about our expenditures and our revenues. So basically, this is the outlook for our medium-term debt. It is going to grow from 67.8%, actually with a decline to 57% by 2028-29.
Kenya's debt to GDP ratio oscillates between 67 and 68%, which means that for every 100 shillings produced by the economy, 68 shillings goes towards debt servicing.
1.1 is bilateral, which is about 24.3%, and then the commercial is about 1.3. Out of that, 1 trillion is Eurobond. So we are only having about 300 billion in terms of other commercial, which includes the syndicated loans or the commercial that comes directly from other commercial banks.
Over the period, domestic debt increased 12% by 1.2 trillion shillings. The government now says it will continue offering government paper at a lower interest rate to reduce external borrowing and protect against currency fluctuation that increases debt value.
You will see the National Treasury undertaking operations such as the debt swaps, which essentially our aim will be to issue instruments at lower interest costs and use those instruments to take out the debt instruments that are very costly.
To cushion the private sector from government debt appetite and high interest rates, lenders are proposing a review of the pay-as-you-earn tax band from 24,000 shillings to 30,000 shillings to increase purchasing power and money circulation.
We need to get more people paying taxes. There are a lot of people doing business, using government resources, but they are not giving their contribution. There are a lot of rich people evading taxes, and those are the ones that have filled the banks. The liquidity that Raymond talked about belongs to only a few people.
Some of the recommendations therein from various players within this particular industry include that government ensuring that we have a vibrant economy to stay afloat, ensuring that also government generates revenue, and also having government pay pending bills to ensure that especially manufacturers have their purchase power going forward. If this indeed will come to pass, well, time will tell and we'll be here for it. For now, I'm Regina Manyara reporting for KBC Channel 1 from Nairobi.
From CAA1 and revised the economy outlook to stable. The credit rating agency said Kenya's external liquidity position has improved, supported by higher foreign exchange reserves, a narrower current account deficit and a more stable shilling.
Moody's Ratings has upgraded Kenya's sovereign credit rating to B3 from CAA1, saying the country's risk of a default in the near term has declined following improvements in foreign exchange liquidity and market access. The agency pointed to a stronger external position, with foreign exchange reserves rising to 1.6 trillion shillings, equivalent to about 5.3 months of import cover. Moody's said the improvement was supported by a narrower current account deficit and a more stable exchange rate. Kenya's return to international capital markets was also a key factor. In 2025, the government raised $3 billion through Eurobond issuance and used part of the funds to buy back $1.2 billion of bonds maturing between 2026 and 2028. The move pushed the next major external bond maturity to 2030. However, Moody's said the rating remains capped by a weak debt affordability and slow fiscal consolidation, as high domestic borrowing costs and political and social pressures limit efforts to narrow the fiscal deficit, leaving Kenya vulnerable to shifts in financing conditions. Interest payment consume more than 30% of the government's revenue, while the fiscal deficit is expected to remain close to 6% of GDP. The agency has also revised the country's outlook to stable from positive, reflecting expectations that the recent improvements in liquidity and financing conditions will be sustained, with risk around the baseline broadly balanced. Benson Rioba, reporting for Prime Edition.
And Kenyan manufacturers risk losing competitiveness if products fail to meet lead-free requirements and as global markets tighten safety standards. Regulators and industry stakeholders say eliminating lead paint is no longer just a public health concern, but a critical trade and industry policy issue with direct implications for market access, consumer confidence, and the country's manufacturing growth agenda. Trevor Ngendo with a report.
While the use of lead in paint has been phased out in most developed economies, gaps in regulation and enforcement have allowed the practice to persist in parts of Africa, posing risks to both public health and industrial competitiveness. In a two-day forum, industry players from over 25 African countries now want accelerated action on eliminating lead paint from the market.
1/5 of the learning gap between rich and poor countries is caused by lead poisoning. So this lead poisoning is causing this permanent impairment to children's cognitive development that stifles their educational attainment and the economic development of the country.
We require is to have the appropriate policies and regulations in place so that we're able to keep track of the issues, ensure that the relevant institutions are addressing them, and also ensure that industry, especially the manufacturers, get to know what should be done so that we don't have unsafe products being put into the market.
As stakeholders, one of the high economic cost of inaction, the Kenya Bureau of Standards says it is intensifying market inspections and product testing to curb the circulation of non-compliant paints.
We have a laboratory that is accredited to testing of paints, lead in paints. So that one we have the capacity. Whatever we have found that did not meet the limit, we were able to seize and take enforcement actions, and we are working with the manufacturers, that concerned manufacturers, to be able to for them to take corrective action.
Enforcing lead-free standards, they believe, will protect compliant manufacturers who invest in quality and safety, but are often undercut by substandard imports and informal producers. For manufacturers, meeting lead-free standards is no longer a choice, but the costs of doing business. Industry players opine that this will determine who remains competitive, who accesses the market, and who is ultimately locked out. Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition, Nairobi.
The National Museums of Kenya has rolled out the Heritage-Based Enterprise Initiative aimed at transforming indigenous knowledge into market-ready enterprises as the country looks to unlock a new access of economic, or rather new areas of economic growth. National Museums of Kenya Director General Professor Mary Gikongo says under its Natural Products Industry Program, the project will harness Kenya's rich indigenous knowledge while digitizing and protecting Kenya's cultural and intellectual heritage.
The initiative seeks to position indigenous knowledge as a new frontier for inclusive economic growth. As part of the program, the government is documenting, digitizing, and protecting indigenous knowledge intellectual assets, ensuring they are preserved, legally safeguarded, and positioned for responsible commercial use.
We also have a national data bank at NMK.
But for us, it's not just to keep this information. It's to help the community learn how to harness the knowledge for socio-economic development and cottage industry creation.
Working with national agencies, county governments and local communities, National Museums of Kenya has already documented Indigenous knowledge assets across 13 pilot counties, with Phase 2 set to span another 20 more counties.
We've captured all of them. We've put them we've put them as a storage. Yeah, as a storage. Tarachi will probably, we've digitalized it and kept it as storage, and it is for the good of the community where these things are coming from.
The initiative now sets the stage for the first International Investment Conference and Trade Fair on Indigenous Knowledge Intellectual Assets, scheduled for April 2026, under the theme Unlocking Investment Opportunities in Kenya's Indigenous Wealth, a new growth area of the economy. The conference will provide a platform for pilot counties, micro and small enterprises, and community-based asset owners to showcase digitized Indigenous innovations to potential investors, to support product development, commercialization, and sustainable livelihoods. Ndutamo Kami for Prime Edition.
Je, wewe ni mpenda soka? Na je, wajua kuwa KBC mwenzie wako wa dhati michezoni anakujali? Ndio maana KBC Channel 1 hukuletea taarifa na uchambuzi wa soka. CAF ndio wamechukua usukani nchini, barani Afrika na ughaibuni, ikiwemo EPL, Serie A, Bundesliga na Liga. Je, wewe ni mpenda soka? Na je, wajua kuwa KBC mwenzie wako wa dhati michezoni anakujali? Ndio maana KBC Channel 1 hukuletea taarifa na uchambuzi wa soka. CAF ndio wamechukua usukani nchini, barani Afrika na ughaibuni, ikiwemo EPL, Serie A, Bundesliga na ligi zingine. Mashabiki pia hutuzwa kwa kujibu maswali kuhusiana na soka. Swali letu la leo. Haya yote ni kwenye kipindi cha Dunda Dunda kwenye KBC Channel 1 kila Ijumaa kuanzia saa 5 asubuhi hadi saa 6:30 mchana.
Nawahimiza Wakenya waendelee watch Dunda Dunda show.
KBC, mwenzio wa dhati michezoni.
A very good evening to you. My name is Daniel Wahome and welcome to Prime Edition Sport. The Kenya national futsal team was eliminated from the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers after losing the second leg match against Namibia, who won 18-11 on aggregate. The match was played at the Kasarani Indoor Arena. Kenya had lost by 4-8 in the first leg match and then conceded 10 and scored 7 in the second leg match. Frederick Mwoki has the details.
An electrifying atmosphere what witness at the Kasarani Indoor Arena is the national futsal team, which is taking part in the qualifiers for the Africa Cup of Nations for the first time. Showed intensity and composure in the first half, but Namibia took the lead in the first half, leading by 5-4.
Against a very elite team that has played AFCON. So it is a very good learning curve for the boys, and I'm proud of what they've done.
I hope the institutions in Kenya help futsal to grow up.
Attention now shifts to the final round of qualification, where Namibia is set to face Libya, and see which team between the two sides will qualify to feature in the 2026 Africa Cup of Nations futsal in Morocco come April. Reporting for Prime Edition from Kasarani Indoor Arena, my name is Frederick Mwoki.
I think Mwoki's piece to camera looks more like he had some people backing him up and doing it. Well done, Mwoki. Now, Sports Cabinet Secretary Salim Mvurya today received a high-level delegation from the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, who commended Kenya for the strides taken to implement the agreed corrective action following the 2024-2025 audit that had put Kenya on the watch list. The delegation, led by African Director Rodney Svailga, thanked the Kenyan government for its efforts to ensure that the country remains compliant to the World Anti-Doping Agency Code, adding that it should correspond with their success on the sporting field and athletics. CS Mvurya affirmed the government's unwavering commitment to implement all targeted reforms, saying they will also expand the anti-doping program to other sporting disciplines, as well as to ensure quality and integrity.
And we will be partnering with them and walking the walk with the authorities here to see how we develop the program, how we bring it in line with the code, and how we strengthen it. And in addition, not just strengthen it and comply with it, but be innovative in how we do it, leaning on a Kenyan tradition.
We have equally engaged international partners to ensure that we elevate ADAC to an international profile, because Kenya is a very big global sporting country, and we want to elevate ADAC to that profile, you know, where it can also be a part of the international role model of anti-doping organizations.
And the HSBC Sevens Division 2, which is set to be held in Kenya for the first time mid-next month, has received a major boost of 2 million Kenya shillings from Crown Paints towards organization of the tournament. Speaking during the sponsorship of the event today, the Kenya Rugby Union chairperson, Harriet Okach, said the tournament presents a big opportunity for Kenyan players to showcase their home fans. The two-day tournament, which is the opening round of the World Rugby Sevens Division 2 series, will be staged at the 14th and 15th of February and will feature 6 men's teams and 6 women's teams. Shujaa and Lioness, who have been preparing for the event since last year, will carry the Kenyan flag in their quest to play in the series top-level competition after the other legs are played in Montevideo, Uruguay and Sao Paulo in Brazil in March this year.
Most importantly for us is the fact that now we are able to showcase the talent that we have. Not just, I mean, a lot of times people follow them on TV, our players, they watch them play, more so the men than the women. So this is going to be able to showcase the kind of talent we have even for the women, how good they are, and just entice people to come out and support.
And the government has announced plans to construct 25 new stadia across the country as part of a broader strategy to promote sports development and nurture talent among the youth. Speaking during the groundbreaking ceremony of the Kabarnet Stadium in Baringo Central, Sports Principal Secretary Elijah Mwangi, accompanied by Defence Principal Secretary Dr. Patrick Mariro, said the projects will be undertaken by the Kenya Defence Forces in collaboration with the Ministry of Sports. He said the Kabarnet Stadium is among the facilities earmarked for construction and is expected to be completed within the next 9 months. In the meantime, 8 new stadia across the country are set to be commissioned next week.
Tutaamuru the Athletics Kenya, FKF, the Rugby Union na wale wengine, ili wakati uwanja inatengenezwa wakuje na wao waone pia ile standards, ile specifications imewekwa. Tunataka kuhakikishia watu wa Kabarnet, hii stadium haitakuwa ya watu 9,000 ama 8,000. Itakuwa stadium ya watu ambao wanaweza keti 10,000.
Nataka kushukuru management ya Showground na KVDA kwa kupatia kiwanja yao ili tupate kujenga stadium kubwa.
That's the sport for tonight. More coming your way tomorrow, and I'm sure the UEFA Champions League group stage coming to a close. All the reviews, who are the winners, who are going to be in trouble, who are relegated. That's what we'll be talking about tomorrow and keeping up with the FKF Premier League. My name is Daniel Wahome. Back to you, John Jacob Kioria.
Thank you very much, Daniel Wahome. For the sports, it's time for us now to exit the studio. Thank you very much for your company. Enjoy the rest of your viewing. My name is John Jacob Kioria.
Saa hii ukidial *419# option 4 ama uingie kwa tushinde.com, hakuna probox. Jaribu.
Ni ukweli. Yaani imeshaingia na ndio tunafieka. Ya inaona iko ndani. Wanaongelea nini hao? Ni shamba. Na sio moja, sio mbili, shamba 3 hapa Juja. Very nice. Na ni area moja development na growth iko promising sana. Stima iko ndani. Hiyo maji inapata